I just want to know why Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie are the only actors available for anything ever. That is like my main question. But then when it comes to the Wuthering Heights casting, where obviously they casted a white man in the place of who is described to be a dark-faced man who was called a slur that is apparently associated with Punjabi culture. So, yes, we're whitewashing a film. And then we're watching creators like Stoobs talk about, well, oh, but this other tertiary character looks slightly non-white, so maybe she's trying to flip it on its head and just like, girl. And the only reason I say that about her is because she really vilified my Poor Things take, like Stoobs in particular, who I used to follow until she vilified my Poor Things take, which was, that was gratuitous nudity and the things with the children, and I didn't like all of that. She's all art for art's sake. She gives, I like her stuff a lot of the time, but then she gets into like white feminism territory where she's like, let them whitewash whatever for the sake of art. You don't know where it's going. Okay. But I gotta be honest with you. I am getting a little bit of Margot Robbie fatigue. Not in that I don't like her, but it's just like, I start to think like, wow, we really only want one kind of woman in these major beauty-centric, like, beauty standard films. They say, well, this is the only one that we can use because they have to look like this. It does get a little bit depressing to me. And then when you bring in that Heathcliff is meant to be a man of color, so we did Jacob Elordi. It used to make sense when the British things would only have a couple British people that they would recycle, right? But now these people are like the center of Hollywood. That's not why they did that. So I don't know. It feels a little bit like weird to me to be taking something so historical at a time when you actually could elevate a man of color in this role, whether it is with Margot Robbie or with like some new fresh face. Obviously they want it to be a classic, which is why they're using these heavy hitters. I don't know. It's hard, when you try to think about the future from the past and you try to think about, is it gonna make sense in the same way like when your grandma watches TCM and there's a man on the screen and she's like, well, he was the guy for the age and she was the lady of the age. Like, is that what they're kind of trying to do here? Is that they want to make this movie so epic because they want in the future to look back and be like, well, what was everything that Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi ever did? Let's go watch all of those things so that those things become like instant classics because they are like the people of the time. But I'm starting to get fatigued. Put them back in Euphoria and leave them there. I did like Saltburn. And I liked Barbie. Like, I have no problem with these actors except for the whitewashing of the character Heathcliff, because I just think right now, especially with the success of Bridgerton, you don't really have an excuse. Because, I don't know, some people are saying Dev Patel was right there, which I would agree. I would also say, before Blake Lively did her big one, Justin Baldoni was right there. Can we talk about that? Because it's kind of sad. Like, that could have been for him. But I don't know. I don't know what his reputation is after this, but he was a fine face. A fine non-white face that could have been utilized. So I'm not sure. And I don't have any like particular connections to this book. I haven't read it, whatever. But I just think in 2025, when you have an opportunity to actually cast a man of color in like a major movie role, especially alongside somebody like Margot Robbie, or even if they were to make it somebody else, like, I just don't get why they couldn't do that. Like, I just don't get what made them feel like, even in this time where there's so many narratives swirling, not just politically and socially, but like just anti-progress, I don't understand why you would choose to regress a character that was already written to be a man of color. And something that Stoob said was like, oh, well, but he ends up being a bad person, basically. But he's a bad person, so we can't make him a man of color. He has to be white. He has to be white so he can be complex. Characters of color can only be good. And that's why we vilify people of color in real life, because of this mentality. When you cannot handle a complex character of color without thinking that it vilifies all characters. Like, I get it. They're trying to say no stereotypes, but this is not this is not the time for that, in my opinion. And I think it's lazy. I think it's a little bit mentally lazy to think like that, because it's just, we need to live in a time where we can have complex characters of color play alongside main characters who are white sometimes, without, like, why does the whole plot for a character of color have to be only, I don't know. I think, specifically coming from a white woman, that's not something I care to hear. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like when, like, the biggest movie critics and reviewers on TikTok are, like, pro-whitewashing. And it's not that I've seen everybody be pro-whitewashing, but I see a lot of people be like, yeah, I get why some people would be upset, but it's just the tone is very devil-may-care dismissive. Like, well, I get why some people might be upset, but you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't know. I wonder when we will reach a time when we can have main characters of color in roles that, like, everything isn't so pivotal to their race. Do you know what I'm saying? It's, like, a little bit exhausting. If that was the reason. I don't think that is the reason, though. I think the reason is they didn't care to represent a man of color at this time. They wanted to make a classic, and they wanted to use Jacob Elordi, and that's what they wanted to do. And, like, I don't know. I just think he's getting a little overused, I would say. Because isn't he also Frankenstein? Like, it's too much. It's too much, and it starts to be like, what happened to Robert Pattinson? Did he go away? Like, I just don't understand why Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie are the only ones left. Also, their ages don't make sense to me. Like, I don't have a problem with them, but this is why I'm saying I don't really understand him for the role. He, to me, gives young. She, to me, gives grown woman. He doesn't give grown man to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of him as Jacob. I mean, not Jacob. Jake? Wait, what is his name in Euphoria? And is it coming back? Because that'll be my shit. Nate Jacobs. That's why I was confusing. But I don't know. I think he's getting overused. I think his impact is lessening for me anyways. And I wish they would be brave enough to use a man of color. So let me know what you think.